So today I'll be talking about going to Japan on exchange and what you need to know before you go on exchange in general. So obviously, giving you a little bit of context here is that I'm going on exchange to Japan on 19th of March this year for about a semester, or approximately 5-6 months. And I've got entirely funding because of ASIABOUND, which is a loan program for Australian citizens, as well as ASIABOUND, which is an Australian government scholarship for any student who is going to an Asian country. The first thing you need to think about is, where do you want to go? Obviously, check your university's partner universities list. I know that some offer specific areas or specific unis, or they don't offer some countries unlike other universities, so obviously do some research. I decided to go to Japan because of my sub-major, but my other two choices were Canada and Ireland. This is because obviously I'm in my final year and most of my subjects are elective subjects, so obviously I can fill it in with any other subject. But having said that, your university might say you have to go to a particular country because of what you major in or what your sub-major is. So obviously check the requirements of your school within your university, but as well as do some research on your university's partner list, because I know it can be quite expensive if you decide to go against that list of partner universities. For Australian students, you might have to pay their tuition fees if you decide against any of your university's partner universities. So if I decided to go to Brown University in America, I have to pay tuition fees, but if I went to California State University, I do not have to pay their tuition fees because of the partnership between my university and their university. Second sort of point here is about cost. So you have to put in mind is that you have to realize you're paying for your daily expenses as if you were living in your own country. So your books, your rent, utilities, food, and other things. But just keep in mind you have to pay those things, as well as extra travel if you want to travel around your own country or other countries if you're in Europe. So I recommend upwards of $12,000. Having said that, just factor in all the costs. I know that it can be quite expensive and it's really pain in the ass if you can't go because of the lack of money. And I can tell you this is that with each government they'll check if you have enough money before you go. With the Japanese government, you have to fill in so many forms just to prove how much money you have for a month or for the total period of what you're staying in, just so you know that you know that you're not going to be an illegal immigrant within their own country. But as well as with cost, if you're afraid of afraid that you don't have the money, check with your university for scholarships. I know with Australian students, ASIABOUND is a really good thing. You can take it out, I think, twice a year, and I think that's the limit. So it's about $6,500 if you're going to any other country outside of Asia, $7,500 if you're going within Asia, and an extra $1,000 if you're wanting to take a language course before you leave. But as well as just check with your university's scholarships if they have any, or specific to your degree, but as well as any government related scholarships for you to study abroad. The last resort is to take out a loan and to make sure you realise that you have to pay it back. So have a good job that will definitely pay it back in a reasonable amount of time. We don't want to get bad credit ratings. Three, the general other informations. With subjects, make sure they are equivalent to your own subjects at home. What I'm trying to aim is that, for example, you're doing, so my example would be, actually to put in better perspective, my own example is that if I'm taking a Japanese language class, that is equivalent of me taking a Japanese course here. So for example, Japanese Elementary 1 is equivalent to a part of Japanese 303 here in my home university. Make sure they're actually equivalent, and if they're not, try and find another subject so you can get the credit points once you get back from your exchange. I've heard some horror stories where people went over to their host university and came back and found out that they cannot exchange their or advanced standing their class because it is not equivalent to anything and is on their error, not the university's error. So just to make sure, especially just check if your classes at your host university is equivalent to either one or many of the your classes back at home. 4 is that when you get over there, make sure you're not isolated. I can tell from my friends who have been on exchange is that they either went out to parties or they got out of their dorm and try and meet someone in their class to become friends with. It's like the start of high school again, or the start of university again, where you don't know anyone and you want to make friends. I suggest either joining a club or either try and make friends within your own class as if you were in your home country. As coming from someone who hasn't been on exchange, I know several people who live in Japan simply because I met most of them through my university when the university that I'm going to does short programs for their students to go to Australia, and that's how I met most people from my host university. Or through writing letters to people, so pen paling. I suggest either talk to people within your class as if you were in Australia or your home country, or go and join a club or join a society or sorority if you're in America, or just get involved within your host university as if you were in your home university. So that's it. Hopefully you got some information from it. If you want any more, please just tell me in the comments and I'll get back to you. Okay, bye.